Hi and welcome to another video of Being Banging. In today's video, I'll be going over some of the action from Sonoma Raceway this past weekend, Kyle Larson's dominance over the field the past month, and we'll also be making the case for why sponsors should be flocking to Larson right now. At the end of the video, I will be going over the first half of the season since this was Fox's last points paying race. But with that, let's get right into the video. This past weekend, NASCAR returned back to Sonoma Raceway after not racing there last season because of COVID. The race was dominated and won by Kyle Larson, who led 57 of the 90 laps. The only other cars that could compete with Larson was Chase Elliott and Martin Truex Jr., but Larson could get a solid lead over both of them after a few laps. Even on the final restart of the day with 2 laps to go, Chase Elliott, the most dominant road racer right now, could not get Larson to make a mistake, and for the second week in a row, Larson sweeps all the stages as well. Some notable finishers I wanted to talk about are Kurt Busch and Ross Chastain. They both finished in the top 10 and did a great job staying there and competing all day long and had very great results, finishing both 6th and 7th today in the race. But with that, let's talk about sponsors for Kyle Larson. Last Sunday, we heard the rumors from Rick Hendrick that Larson was in the process of finding more sponsorships after, because right now he still only has hendrickcars.com on there, and Nation Guards and other sponsors too. I personally just want to make a case for why sponsors should be flocking to Larson at this point. His on track performance has been tremendous. In the past month, he has not finished worse than second. So if you're a sponsor, you'll be getting lots of TV time since he'll be around the top 5 or top 2 every week. So he'll be getting lots of TV time. He'll be getting talked about a lot of the announcers will be saying sponsorship probably a few times to get his name out there. I think those could be good reasons. He also races for Hendrick Motorsports, one of the premier NASCAR teams on the circuit. And when Larson was with Chip Ganassi Racing, he was great with Target, doing commercials with them and helping them sell their product. He's also turned into a fan favorite again after his incident from last spring. So there will be very little backlash from NASCAR fans, if not any. Larson has done a lot for the racing community too, making a driving program for young minority drivers to help them learn and advance in their knowledge of racing. Larson is also one of the very few minority drivers in the NASCAR series, coming from an Asian background. So if I'm a sponsor looking into NASCAR, or I am in NASCAR, I would put my bid into Larson, because at this point he's doing everything he can right now, and it doesn't look like he's going to stop anytime soon. And he's also only 28 years old and could probably race for another 10 to 15 years at the rate he is going. So I really hope for the best for Larson, that he can find a great sponsor that'll help him throughout the rest of his NASCAR journey. I hope that they can figure that out in the next few weeks, because this has been going on for the past few months and he already has 3 victories and he's only 40 points back behind Denny Hamlin for the points lead at this point. So hope for the best, and I think for the sport and all the fans, we all think that he deserves a second chance and somebody should really stick their foot out for him and help him. But with that, let's look back on the first half of the season and check out the point standings to see who is doing great and the drivers on the cut line too. So right now in the regular point standings, Denny Hamlin is still first. He hasn't had a win yet, but he's led over 700 laps. He has 9 top 5 finishes, no victories, but 9 top 5 finishes, 12 top tens. He's been on a slump for the past month or so, but he's still doing good. He just hasn't had the luck on his side. So, but he should be able to pick up a victory or two before the playoffs. So he's still the regular season point leader. He has a great average finish of 7.7. He's definitely one of the top drivers right now. 47 points behind him is Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson is on a 2 race winning streak. He swept all the stages in the past two races, like I told you before. He has an average finish of 10.8, probably be a little bit higher if you take out the mechanical failure at Talladega on the first lap where his car just overheated. It was just a very strange situation. So that could help lift up his average finish. But he's been good this whole year. He's definitely the top driver at mile and a half races. He dominated at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, leading over 300 laps, and he's just looked unbeatable, except in the rare situations. In third place, we have Chase Elliott. He is 73 points back behind Denny Hamlin. Chase has been good this year. In his past three races, well, in the past month, he's finished in the top five. He finished around third or fourth in Dover. He won Coda, came in second the Coke 600, and he came in second this past weekend at Sonoma Raceway. So he's been up there, he's been competing. It's just only person that he can't pass up is Kyle Larson. He had a little bit of luck on him at Coda, but he clearly had the fastest car on the last run, but the rain definitely helped him out when it started downpouring. They had to stop the race because he was three laps short. But he had a huge lead over Larson, around 15 seconds, I think. But Chase is looking. He has 8 top 5 finishes and 10 top 10s. He's only led 116 laps, but he's been solidly in the top five. Like every race, he's had a top five car, I think, or at least top 10. It's just usually another car is on another level, like a Denny Hamlin or Kyle Larson. Denny Hamlin's led over 756 laps. Kyle Larson 1,162 laps. So they're definitely dominating the field. William Byron, he's been doing very good. He's in fourth right now. He's just been very consistent after his victory in Miami, so good to him. Joey Logano, he's in fifth place right now in the regular season standings, but Penske has been showing very good mile and a half speed, which is definitely hurting them right now. They've been having issues the past few weeks, but Logano did get the top five this past weekend in Sonoma, so he's been very consistent. He usually has a very good strategy going to the races, and that usually helps him out a lot. In sixth place, we have Martin Truex Jr., which is very surprising because he has the same amount of wins as Kyle Larson. They both have 3 wins that are tied for most right now. But he has dropped down to sixth place in the point standings, which is very weird. He's only had 6 top 5 finishes and 9 top 10 finishes, but he's been very dominant this year. He won Phoenix earlier this season, which will be a championship race at the end of the season for the Final Four, if he makes sense of that. So he has a very dominant 750 package at these tracks. He dominated Darlington a month back. The only person that really caught up to him was Larson, and then Larson fell back a little bit, but he's been clearly the dominant car at 750 races, other than Dover, which Hendrick dominated that weekend. But Truex this season has led over 627 laps, which is not as much as Denny Hamlin or Kyle Larson, but he has the wins. He has the playoff points right now, too. And he has an average finish of 12.8. I think he might be down because he had a horrific crash at Coda. He had some issues at Dover. Just some little small things been happening. So nothing to worry about him. He'll be a playoff contender. Kyle Busch, he has one victory. He had that victory at Kansas. He's showing some speed, but he's only led 58 laps. Kyle Busch is looking better than last year, at least compared to his 2020 stats. He's definitely getting a lot better at having no practice, but I bet he wishes he can have it. I'm sure that he'd be competing for more wins if there is practice again. We saw that at the Coke 600 that he was able to compete with Hendrick Motorsports there. I think he finished third at the Coke 600. He's looked good this year. He'll be a contender later this season. Brian Blaney, he just has the one victory. He's only had two top five finishes. He's just had the one victory at Atlanta. It was a very key victory at mile and a half race because it shows how good his mile and a half program is compared to the other Penske cars. So good job by Ryan Blaney, but he's pretty far back and he hasn't shown very much consistency. Alex Bowman right now in the regular season standings is 11th. He has 2 wins, but he's been very inconsistent. He has the 2 victories at Richmond and Dover, but he only led like the last last 5 to 8 laps at Richmond, won that race. He had a very fast car, but the last second caution really did help him out. But you take your wins when you get them, so can't say anything bad about that. One of Dover was because of his pit crew. Kyle Larson clearly had the dominant car, but was just being out of pit road in the last caution, and Alex Bowman just had to hold him off. Christopher Bell and Michael McDowell are they're both 15th and 16th in points. Bell's Christopher Bell hasn't been doing this very good this season, so but he does have the victory, so that means he does make it into the playoffs technically. So he's doing good. So he's good for the playoffs at least. We'll have to see what happens in the next few months before then. If he can gain some momentum. Michael McDowell is actually 16th in points. He has him and Christopher Bell have like the same statistics, pretty much, which is very surprising because Michael McDowell drives front row motorsports car, so that is very strange. But with that, let's get into right now what the playoff standings are and who might be in danger of not making it to the playoffs. So at the cut line, Danny Hamlin still doesn't have a win, so he's technically not in the playoffs yet. Kevin Harvick technically not in the playoffs yet either because they both don't have victories. But Danny Hamlin's like 300 plus points above the cut line, so that's about like six to eight races. If he was tied out the race in six or eight races, and he'd still be good. And he'd still make the playoffs. So I'm sure we can put Danny Hamlin as a solid lock into the playoffs right now at this point. And Kevin Harvick, even though they haven't showed the top speed yet, I think they can still consistently make it into the playoffs. I think they can pull off a victory in the next month or two. I think the best chance of Danny Hamlin or Harvick winning are at Michigan or the Pocono races because they were both very dominant there last season. I wouldn't. So I think one of them will win one of those 3 races. So here's where the true cut line is at. So we have in 14th place Austin Dillon. He has a over 100-point lead, 105-point lead over Matthew DeBeddow in 17th place. So I think right now he's really good right now because he just needs to stay consistent. I don't know. Maybe he can win. Well, Texas isn't a regular season race. I was thinking about that. He could win Daytona in the season finale, but I don't really see him winning any of these races this year, even though RCR has looked really fast the past few weeks, but Hendrick's just been at another level. Tyler Reddick is 15th in the playoff standings right now. He has a 67-point advantage over Matthew DeBenedale. Tyler Reddick has been a little bit more inconsistent than Austin Dillon, but I don't know like who's not gonna make it in the playoffs. I think he's still got a few more months to go. But Tyler Reddick showing speed at the road courses, which was something that I was worried about before the season if he was going to make it into the playoffs, is what speed he was going to show at the road courses. I think right now I feel pretty good about him. Right now I give him like a 70 or 80% chance. I give Austin Dillon 80 or 90% chance too. Chris Buescher has the final spot in the playoffs right now, 16th in the point standings. He has a 60-point lead over Matthew DiBenedetto. I think that this is the one spot that I'm worried about. Even though Chris Buescher has shown consistency every week, if he has a bad 2 or 3 week stand, Matthew DiBenedetto becomes a little bit more consistent. He can definitely be an upset candidate and get that last spot at this point right now. Also, Kurt Busch in the 18th. He's only 3 points behind Matthew DiBenedetto. And we just saw him and Ross Chastain have solid days at Sonoma Raceway too. So I think, and then there's also Ricky Stenhouse, 309 points. He's still the Bristol. He's still the Bristol night race in a few months. I think he can be a contender for that race, maybe win it. But that's like very low chances at this point right now. He would have to play himself into the race, play himself into the playoff standings. So I those are the three cars I think can compete for that last position in the point standings. Other than that, behind them, 20th and 20th and beyond, I don't see them having a chance for that position. So yeah, it seems like everything's just, unless we have a surprise winner or there's a really bad injury, I think car issues, something like that. Something miraculous happens and somehow somebody new is entering into the playoffs. I It's right now very low chances for me at this point. So at this point, I'm gonna end the video. Thank you guys for watching this week's episode of Beating and Banging. If you like the new format I'm using for the video, please like or comment below. I just wanted to try a new format because usually the race reviews never come out until the middle of the week, so I'd rather talk about other NASCAR news and not focus on the race as much since other people already have their stuff out in less than 24 hours. If you're looking for more content to check out, some of my other NASCAR videos are on this channel or down below or on the screen in front of you at this point. Or if you're an info fan, I have some old podcast episodes from that. If you want to listen to me, Jacob, and Sam talk about the playoffs, the Super Bowl, some trades that happened a few months ago, you can check that stuff out too. But with that, make sure to stay classy.